In once peaceful neighborhoods, mass murder is on the rise. In war-torn Ukraine, we'd expect no less, with Russian invaders acting as rabid wolves. But in America, in a Raleigh neighborhood, on a porch, in a driveway, on nature trails, 5 people were killed by their 15-year-old neighbor. The same week, the Parkland jury was to deliberate on the murders of 17 people. How can we shed light and lessen the violence? One answer comes from one word in 3 parts. The prefix "in," meaning in, inside of, is a lesson in empathy. The Parkland jurors took an oath to step inside the shoes of the victims and deliver the death sentence, if deserved, for the killing of these 17. On day 1 of deliberations, one juror, after 4 hours, stepped inside the killer's shoes and stood against the death penalty. The jury foreman stopped deliberations and had everyone sleep overnight on it. To take his mind off the 3-month trial, the confessed killer doodled. This is not a doodle from the courtroom, but his jail cell. Under the "Hail Satan," you see growling beast. If you had seen the school shooting video or heard from victims of multiple wounds from 139 fired bullets, you would believe there was a rabid wolf loose. You would believe the killer's psychologist quoting him as saying, "I worship the devil, I hate God and Jesus." On day 2 of deliberations, 2 more jurors voted not to end life, but to extend it. The jury foreman, after a total of 7 hours, simply hit the buzzer, stopped the fight for justice for the victims, dead and alive. In that empathy, in being inside the shoes, we failed. But there's a second part to the word, TE, which could be taken as an acronym for Truth Enlightens. Know that minutes after the massacre, the killer blended in with the fleeing crowd, made his way to Subway, sipped on an icy, made his way to McDonald's, sat down beside the brother of one of his victims and asked for a ride home. He was soon identified and handcuffed and began his biggest deception, saying that he heard voices, that he was on the extreme of mental illness with psychosis. That lie was laid to rest by a police interview the very same day, when it was established the killer and the demon had the very same voice. That did not stop the defense from claiming that such murderous behavior could only result from the fetus having brain damage. The defense did not want you to see the wolf in sheep's clothing. Mental illness is not a choice. There are some 50 million Americans that cope with some degree of mental illness, but it is demonic to choose evil as this killer did. He methodically planned a slaughter and executed it on Valentine's Day, expressly so that the survivors would never feel love in quite the same way. The evil one comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and must not be coddled, but confronted on the same day that the killer was given life. The New York Times exposed that one Uvalde police chief did not hold back 360 officers from rescuing the 19 children and 2 teachers. The elite officers and the Border Patrol had their SWAT team take over the response halfway and still chose to wait 37 minutes before entering the classroom. In both school shootings, truth did not enlighten. Truth was the second biggest victim. There is a third part to our word, which we've had more success with outside Uvalde: gritty, meaning full of grit, full of courage. Unfortunately, 4 students died by bullets from a 15-year-old at Oxford High School. But the police response was swift, and minutes after the 911 call, the shooter put down his weapon and the 18 bullets not fired when he was confronted. The biggest hero comes from Parkland, Peter Wong. When the shooting started on his second floor, he ran and held open the exit door and stood there holding it open so multiple students could quickly make their escape. The deranged killer that was demonic riddled Peter with bullets, 8 to the body, 4 to the head. Peter Wong was a first-generation American, an ROTC student that hoped to go to West Point. His mom said if she had raised him to be less honorable, he would still be alive. In the memory of Peter Wong, and for our own sakes as future survivors, we need to better embrace all 3 parts of the word integrity. In, meaning empathizing wisely. TE, meaning finding and using truth to enlighten. And finally, being gritty when it most counts.